Yeah, man! Hello, my name is Miguel, and today I'm gonna make for you luncheon cabbage stew. Alright, so you're gonna need a can of chicken luncheon, a cabbage, small cabbage, a stalk of scallion, medium-sized onion, spring of thyme, tablespoon of parsley and small tomato, tablespoon of basil. Herbs are optional in this recipe. I have Scotch bonnet pepper. Visit JamaicaDinners.com for the recipe. I'm going to start with our cabbage. Do as you see me doing. Trim off spoilage, in like a brown spot that you might see on the cabbage. Just trim that off. I cut the cabbage in half. It's easier to handle. Then I remove this stem or the root, the stem. Just cut the stem off. Just make a triangle cut and then remove the stem. Put cabbage in a bowl of water. Add a couple drops of distilled white vinegar or a tablespoon of salt. You do this to remove dirt or any insect that might be in the cabbage. So just allow the cabbage to soak for a minute or two. Minute between two. Next, remove dying leaf from the scallion. Cut off ends, the root end and the tip of the leaf that's dying. Some thyme. I like to cut the onion in half. It's easier to handle. Remove brown leaf. The first layer of the onion is the strongest. Nevertheless, you can throw it away if it's spoiling. Like this one. The tomato, cut off stem end. Now I'm going to gather all of my ingredients on this plate. So measure and add a tablespoon of parsley. You can use any of these herbs fresh. Chop it fine though. Now I'm adding a tablespoon of dried basil. Half Scotch bonnet pepper. You can use a quarter teaspoon of shredded red pepper. Next, measure and add quarter teaspoon dried pimento berries. The pimento berries are optional. Rinse vegetables under fresh running water. After that, dice scallion fine. Keep the herbs together. Keep ingredients separate. Now, slice onion 1/8 of an inch. Chop tomato in 1/8. Do as you see me doing. In other words, you want to dice the tomato, but not too fine. This is not even 1/8. Just dice tomato. I'm going to rinse off the spring of thyme. Right, this is our vegetables. Put them aside for later. Now with the cabbage, just remove this water, this salted water. Add fresh water. Then rinse your cabbage properly. It's best if you do this part on a fresh running water. Next, you can use a knife for this part, or you can get one of these shredder or grater. Get this the larger side. You want to cut flakes. So do as you see me doing and shred cabbage fine. This shredder that I'm using is not so sharp, but still be careful. That's the idea. That's what you want. Put your cabbages, your shredded cabbage aside for later. After that, you can use Spam for this recipe as well. This is a chicken luncheon. They have all sorts, but I'm using a chicken luncheon. So this is what it looks like. Just remove it from the can. Clean the can's surface before you open it. Look, for this recipe, you can mash the chicken luncheon or Spam and crush it, or you can dice it in little chunks like I'm doing. So dice Spam or luncheon in about inch cubes, about 1-inch cubes, chunks. That's what you want. That's the idea. Put your cut, your diced luncheon, meat luncheon aside for later. Alright. Put your luncheon aside for later. After preparation, put to heat a medium-sized saucepan. Put the stove's gauge on 2. That's like medium low, or like low. That's like low. After a minute or so, add oil. I use coconut oil. Half of quarter cup, or you can use quarter cup of coconut oil, cooking oil. Allow the oil to get hot for less than a minute. After a minute and the oil is heated and the oil is hot somewhat, forgot garlic. I'm just peeling these garlic and get them ready. I'm using 2 garlic cloves. Now add sliced onions to the heating oil. Stir it in a couple times. Allow it to saute. About 10 seconds after, add your chopped scallion. Stir it in. Allow it to saute. Stove's gauge is on 2. Allow. water ready. Because I wasn't prepared, now shred or grind garlic to puree added to the heating oil. Stir it in, allow sautéing. Add dried pimento berries. Pimento berries are optional. For 20 seconds after, add your cubed meat luncheon and allow. I'm just adding a tablespoon more oil. That's why I said up to quarter cup of cooking oil. I'm not sure if this luncheon is salt, so I'm going to wait before I add salt. I used sea salt. After a minute between two, add your chopped tomato. You kind of slow cooking today. The stove gauge is on 2 low, like low medium. Stir it in, allow saute, allow to saute. A minute later, add your herbs along with the pepper. Stir it in a few times, allow to saute. Now about 10 seconds later, place your shredded cabbage on top the stew, and then use a cooking spoon and stir in your stew gently. Do as I'm doing, just kind of lift and fold. You don't want to break up the luncheon. You want to serve chunks. Add like a teaspoon of distilled white vinegar, and it's optional. After that, add quarter cup water. Use the pan's lid, cover the pan properly. Stove gauge is on 2, low medium, allow. 4 minutes later, between 5 minutes later, the stove gauge was on 2. All this time, you don't want to cook this thing here fast. As you see, we don't have that much water in it. That's what you want. Now would be a good time to remove the pepper. Stir your pot in a few times, see where it's at. All I'm doing now is just tasting the cabbage to see how tender it is. The stew is fresh, so that means this luncheon is not salt. I'm just measuring and adding a teaspoon of salt. I use sea salt. After that, it's finished. Cabbage is cooked. It's finished. Measure and add a tablespoon of ketchup, or half of the quarter cup of ketchup. Stir it in a few times, gently. Use the pan's lid, cover the pan properly until serving. Before serving your meal, stir your stew in, moist up everything, and take a scoop of this cabbage luncheon stew or cabbage spam stew and lay it on a plate. I can smell the aroma. This is cabbage luncheon stew. Visit JamaicaDinners.com for the recipe. Subscribe, like, share. You should try cooking this meal yourself. And remember, you can use Spam or any luncheon. Give us feedback when you do. Cabbage chicken luncheon stew. Or if you want, you can say cabbage spam. But I'm going to go ahead and eat because I have other things to do. The spam is not salt. I mean, this luncheon is not salt. Spam is a little bit more salty. It goes, surprisingly, cabbage goes well with this luncheon. I'm just gonna decide to eat it with the rice because I'm hungry. If you're against, say, meat, like woolly beef or corned beef, you can use this instead. This is a chicken luncheon. It's not as salt, like I said. The flavor of it is not outstanding per se, but it nears the flavor. This particular luncheon nears the flavor of spam, although I would say spam is much more flavorful. It costs more money too. So it's an idea. You can try it yourself. And when you do, give us feedback. Let us know what you think about this cabbage luncheon stew. It's a clean meal. The herbs blend lovely with it. The herbs are optional. You don't have to use the herbs as well. You could just use onion alone and it will taste just as good. Or if you use powdered seasoning, you can also add like a pinch, like a couple pinches of all-purpose seasoning. That's it. Just add that alone with the onions and the pepper. So like I said, it's just an idea. You can try it. Oh yes, and you can use purple cabbage instead. And if you had a carrot, you could shred that up and put a small carrot with it as well. To be creative, if you're into broccoli, you could have cut off some florets, some broccoli florets or cauliflower florets, and use it as well, and use it instead. Purple cabbage is much more stronger. It has more nutrients in it than the regular white cabbage. So I think that purple cabbage will go lovely with this meal. So as you see, I'm enjoying it. As for flavor, it's not outstanding as my other meals, but it's an idea. Alright, until next time, bye.
Yeah, man!